All right, so we should be live right now. Just waiting for it to kick in on YouTube. Okay, yep, we are live. Well, yeah. Again, thank you for being on here, Gaming Addict. I'm a big fan of your work on YouTube. I love your opinions on Iron Lords. I follow you big time. So, yeah, I really do appreciate you being on the show.
No problem. I appreciate the invite.
Also, I took the liberty of sending you the link to the YouTube channel because for all my guests, I'm not too sure if you follow this podcast at all, but I like to put characters in place of the people I have on the show as my guests. So I use dreams to create these special backgrounds. So I put like a mascot kind of to match your kind of logo or mascot for your channel. So yeah, just feel free to look at that whenever you want. But yeah, but yeah, like I said, I do like to go into people's gaming histories and their YouTube histories. So I kind of want to go into your gaming history first, if that's going to be okay for you.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
So I always like to start off by asking my guests like their favorite video games, like your top. I want to go for your top 5 video games of all time.
Final Fantasy, Zelda. I would say Fable's up there. Final Fantasy, Zelda, Fable, Halo. Halo's definitely one of them.
So a lot of RPGs in that category there, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good fifth one. The fifth one kind of like switches around. I'd say God of War. I'm probably a huge fan of the God of War franchise.
You a fan of the older games or the newer ones?
A mixture of both.
All right. You see, I actually never played the original hack and slash ones. I'm more so started off with the newer versions of God of War. So I am planning on playing through the originals, but I know a lot of people still like those games for what they are.
Yeah, great, solid experiences.
Now, when it comes to Final Fantasy, can you pick which Final Fantasy entry?
I couldn't tell you which one, like, as a definitive answer, but I would say, besides 8, because I would say 8's definitely one of my favorites, but I couldn't compare it to like a 7 or a 9 or a 10. It's probably 7, 9, and 10. I would like bounce back and forth, which is my favorite.
All right, fair enough. I actually started with 7 and what's it called? Was it 13? No, 14. It was 14.
Yeah, 13 is we don't talk about that. That never
happened. Yeah, that's kind of like the dark horse of the series, ain't it? Or the black sheep, I mean.
Yeah, it just comes down to it.
Yeah, actually, while looking for your platforms that you actually make videos for, I noticed on your secondary channel you actually been uploading the Final Fantasy gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
So, how you been enjoying that experience?
I wish I could play it more. I was out of town for a week, and it kind of threw like a wrench in my old plans. I plan on streaming after ILP tomorrow.
All right.
So we'll go into that. I don't know. It depends on if my girlfriend drags me any family events for Easter.
Oh yeah, true. Well, maybe you could try to use that PlayStation Portal to play it on the go. If it lets you.
Yeah, I kind of want to make sure I play it on stream. Like, I'd had it beat by now, but I that's one of the games I'm definitely making sure I play on stream. So
yeah. Also, you mentioned that you were out of town. I noticed that you were at PAX, right?
Yeah, I was at PAX.
How was that? How was that, man?
That's my 4th PAX. So, I would say always try to go to one of these events, like just one time. Because after that, like, it kind of gets repetitive. Like to be honest with you, like if you're media as PAX, you get emails from like developers and PR companies. It's like, yo, come try our game out. And when I was getting those emails and I'm looking at the games, like there was nothing that really like stood out to me. So I kind of like went in there with the idea that, you know, these are going to be fun games, but like nothing huge jumped out for me.
Yeah, nothing really too appealing to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Also, one of my subscribers and moderators, Devil Shooter, is bringing up Majora's Mask because you mentioned Zelda. Can you pick a favorite Zelda entry, or is that also the same scenario for like Final Fantasy with you?
I think Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are some of the worst Zelda games, but I don't consider them like bad games. They're just like, compared to their predecessors, they fall short a little bit. I would say probably, I want to say Wind Waker is my favorite, but I would probably have to lean towards Ocarina of Time because it was the game that got me into Zelda like entirely. So, you know, I really enjoyed that. Majora's Mask, I did beat that game. You know, it's probably one of the first time-orientated games I've ever played, where it's like you have to keep playing a cycle over and over again.
Yeah.
Because the premise of the game is the world's going to end in 3 days, and you, right before the world ends, you discover a way to go back in time. So you have to keep going back in time and, you know, figuring out what you need to do to actually stop the world from ending.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think one of the other games that kind of plays with time is the Dead Rising series. Yeah, because I played Dead Rising 3, I believe, and that one had like a world kind of ending. Well, I don't want to say world ending event, but more like get out of the city type of thing, where you had like a certain amount of days before the military blew up the city with you in it.
Yeah, the only thing I will say is like I wouldn't put Dead Rising and Majora's Mask entirely on the same level, because Dead Rising you kind of restart with player knowledge of what's going on. Like in Majora's Mask, you restart with game knowledge. Like they actually acknowledge that they restarted time. Like it's not like one of those things where, oh, I died, I start back from the beginning of the story. Like part of the story is you reset time, and there's certain things that you can only do a certain time of the day. Like, you know, I would say that Dead Rising kind of has the same concept, but I wouldn't like completely say they're the same.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. So it kind of also integrates with the story then.
Yeah, it definitely.
Interesting. I actually need to give that thing a try then. I actually bought Majora's Mask not that long ago, but I haven't had a chance to play it because my backlog is killing me now.
Yeah, Majora's Mask is a good game. You know, it's like I said, Wind Waker I think is one of the most unique.
Yeah, definitely. And so besides your top 5 favorite games, do you have a least favorite game of all time?
I don't like a lot of stuff Rockstar makes besides GTA. I don't know why I don't like that. I don't like the clunky controllers.
So what about Midnight Club? That's made by Rockstar.
I'm not a big fan of racing games in general either.
Oh, okay.
I didn't mind Bully.
Oh yeah, Bully's a classic.
Yeah, I didn't mind Bully. LA Noire I never really got into. It's mainly I just don't like Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, that's kind of a hit and miss for people, I've noticed. It's either people are really into like how good it looks and how good the world is, or people really can't get into it for like the controls. What was it for you that kept you from getting into Red Dead Redemption?
I don't like when games like take aspects of life that's stupid that we don't even like, and they try to enforce that in the games. Like you know, it's a video game. I didn't like the fact that like when you get back on the horse, you have to take your gun back out. Like, it's like, come on, man. There's a reason GTA don't even make you do this. Like,
yeah, you're not wrong. Like, imagine having to manage gas in GTA. Like,
yeah, I got killed by a bear because I didn't realize that when you got on and off of the horse, your gun stays there. So I did that, and then they just clobbered me, man.
Oh
Like,
no!
and I'm trying to pull out the gun, and there's nothing there. So
Oh, so you were just defenseless.
yeah,
Oof.
I just died.
Yeah, that I can see why you'd hate that aspect. Definitely. Oh. But I also noticed from your time with the Iron Lords that they're also a big fan of Destiny, right?
Yeah, I'm a lot less into the Destiny franchise than I used to be. Now the last expansion is coming out this year, so I'm a huge raid person, and probably sometime next month I'm going to start my grind on Destiny again. I need a good 2 months to make sure, because in order to like successfully raid, you need like some of the best weapons in the game. You need your loadout. You need to make sure you have the best armor you can get. And I like to make sure I go into these raids with somewhat of a I'm ready to some degree.
Yeah, definitely got to be ready for those raids.
And then
I play a lot of MMOs myself, so I know that feeling.
And then after I do this raid, probably gonna buy the raid jacket that comes with these, and then me and my relationship with Destiny is breaking up. We're done. I'm done. Unless they do something drastically, I don't see myself
going back. Does that have
going
to do
back
with the
to
current direction of Destiny?
I just don't like what they've done in general with that game. They've insisted on just reselling you content from D1. They keep making the monetization in that game worse, and it's just gotten to the point where it's just like, why play this game? Like, no one really enjoys it. It seems like there's a lot of issues with that game.
Yeah, definitely, especially from the community sentiment that I've been seeing recently, especially from the Sony side too, from their acquisition. Yeah, so definitely a lot of people aren't happy with Destiny currently. I want to go back in time with you. So I always like to ask my guests about like where they started off from. So, what console did you start off gaming on?
The SNES.
Huh. Interesting. So you were an SNE. So you were a Nintendo kid then.
Yeah, the first like major console I remember owning was an N64, but apparently I owned an SNES too, according to my mother. So, but I was so young, I probably don't remember it, or like the line is blurred on what was mine and wasn't mine.
Yeah. So either it was like another family members that they might have used it more than you, right?
And I thought it was theirs.
Yeah, I had that same experience because me and my cousin back in the day shared a PS2. It was mostly his, but it was kind of meant for us to both play together. So it was kind of a shared thing,
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember like the first game that you played for the SNES, or not really? Because like you said, you didn't.
Not
remember.
really. I don't remember a lot from the SNES. I remember playing like Super Mario, Mario World, or I can't remember which one it was, but I remember playing that. I remember my gaming roots like are a lot more clear, like during the N64 era. Like it's a lot more clear during that. Now, obviously, I had like a GameCube, a PS1, a PS2. I kind of like shifted back and forth between PlayStation and Nintendo for a while because obviously I said my favorite franchise was Final Fantasy, and it was pretty much exclusively on that platform for like a decade. So,
okay. So, once you saw like that big graphical push in Final Fantasy VII, I take it you picked up that PlayStation then.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
No, I just picked up a PlayStation when I saw a game that interested me on PlayStation.
Okay. Also, TSWS Gaming in the chat saying that you were a big fan of Superman N64.
No, I don't even. I remember playing it, but I don't remember playing much of it.
I was gonna say, because that game is infamously known for those ring missions, ain't it?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah. So I never played the N64. So do you have any favorite games for it?
I remember the first couple games I got was Rogue Squadron and
Ooh, that's
Lover.
a good one. Ooh, okay.
Then I remember getting Majora's Mask. I did have Ocarina of Time at one point. I like the holographic Majora's Mask.
Huh.
I remember back when the cartridges on N64, some of them you could get a holographic version of the game.
You see, I never knew that. I always thought
Yeah,
they were just
they're-
I always thought they were just the plain plastic pictures.
No, there's some that was holographic.
That's cool.
I remember playing Quest 64. What's funny is I left that damn cartridge in like my middle school locker, and
Oh no!
I never knew what happened to that thing. Like I put it in my middle school locker, and I moved away from the state at that time, and I have no clue what happened to it after that. So, because I didn't go to school the last day because we just left from that time, and to this day I still have no clue what happened to that.
Well, some kid probably scored out on that.
Yeah, they probably cleared it out. I doubt, I doubt they didn't clear it out from that to the previous one.
Yeah, probably ended up in the dump somewhere too. Either. So you said you moved to the PlayStation, right? So, what was the big game that attracted you to the PlayStation, or at least interested you in getting it?
It was always Final Fantasy.
So I take it you played Final Fantasy back in the early days, then, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So, what was it like experiencing Final Fantasy 7 on the PlayStation then?
It was surreal. Like I played it a little bit after it came out, so like I missed the FOMO with that particular game. Because I rarely got games when they came out back then. It was always like a cousin let me borrow it, or down the line I got it. It wasn't until I was like a teenager I started getting games like day and date when they came out. So I can't really tell you. I know that especially the N64, I do remember getting. I don't know if those games came out. I know it was Christmas because I got it for my birthday, because I'm like one of those kids that had their birthday and Christmas really close together. So I was able to use that to my advantage to get big gifts and just say it's for both. So I don't remember when it come to the PlayStation. I remember I was able to convince my mom to get me Final Fantasy VIII at a pawn store when I was 13 or something like that. I know I got into the Kingdom Hearts franchise because of Final Fantasy. You can make an argument that the whole reason I game is because the domino effect that started with Final Fantasy.
Okay. So Final Fantasy was kind of like that pivotal thing for you that got you into gaming then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, funny story. So Kingdom Hearts is actually what got me into gaming, ironically.
Yeah, I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan.
Yeah, I mean, I will say as a Kingdom Hearts fan, the story doesn't really make sense all the time, especially in the third one, because they cut so much aspects out of it. But yeah, Final Fantasy is definitely
Third one was a huge letdown.
Yeah, especially if you're coming.
Yeah, I'm a reasonable Kingdom Hearts fan. I call them out, just like I call everyone out when I don't like something. So, but you don't. When I have my hot takes on Kingdom Hearts, I don't get called doom and gloom for them takes.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot to say about Kingdom Hearts 3, but I won't get too much into that, or else I'll go on a rant. But yeah, so Final Fantasy though is it's definitely a really big series, and I think it did impact a lot of people's lives. So honestly, I never got into Final Fantasy craze myself. I mean, I'm still not really that big into it, but I can understand why people love it though. It's been around for a long time. It has a lot of great characters. So yeah. But what aspects about it did you like the most?
I think it was just the story and the combat. I've always been a strategic person. You know, I went away from the Final Fantasies because they kind of went more real time, live action, and I don't really particularly agree with that decision. Because you see people like Dragon Quest giving you both options, Persona winning almost Game of the Year contender after Game of the Year contender, still doing turn-based combat. To me, Square Enix are sellouts. And unfortunately, it's kind of blew up in their face. You know, what's funny is if you go look at like the Metacritic scores, it's gotten worse since they went out of turn-based.
So,
like, I think their last 90 plus Metacritic game was like 10.
oh wow, okay, yeah, that was a long time ago then.
Yeah.
So I take it you're not really a fan of the new action turn-based style.
Not.
Okay.
But I don't mind Rebirth because I feel like Rebirth is a decent mixture between, you know, turn-based. It might not necessarily be turn-based like traditional, but you could stop the whole world if you want to like really feel like what you want to do.
TSWS in the chat is asking if you think Japan is catering too much to the east. I think he means west.
Yes.
So you're
100%. Yeah.
So you're not in favor of the new style that Square Enix has adopted, then? Yeah.
No, because it'd be different if there wasn't companies that are succeeding doing it, but there's plenty of companies succeeding. So it's just like, you know, it is what it is.
So if you're a fan of the turn-based, I take it you played Square Enix's Octopath Travelers. I believe it's what's
yes,
called?
love those games. Beat both of them.
Oh, okay, nice. I take it you beat them on your Xbox, right?
I beat the first one on my Xbox. The second one's not on Xbox.
Ah, it's still not? Okay.
I beat the second one on my Xbox.
Okay.
See, like, look, Final Fantasy 9, 94. Final Fantasy 7, 92. Final Fantasy 13, 83. Final Fantasy 12, 92. Okay, 12 was a 90 in the 90s. 10 was a 92. 8 was a 90. Tactics was an 88, which is what Final Fantasy 16 got. No, 16 got an 87. So Tactics from like 10 years ago got a higher score than their new stuff. 6 was a 92. Man, I actually think if you went back and looked at all the main ones, they all got 90s pluses. It's just been the recent games that's been just bombing over and over again.
Yeah, well, critically at least. I don't know about. Do you think that the fan base feels that way too? Because I know it's split a lot of people. Because there is a lot of people who still prefer the turn based, but a lot of people prefer the new action since Final Fantasy. What was it, 14 or 15? But
then I would argue when they started playing Final Fantasy, were they like the people that jumped on from the MMO hype? Were they the people that jumped on for the 15 hype? Like, because it matters. Like, if you never play those other games like at their peak, then obviously the newer stuff would be more your vibe because you grew up with that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the new Final Fantasies have just like gotten like this new audience. I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Also, TSWS is asking if you like Dragon's Dogma at all.
I couldn't get Dragon's Dogma currently. What in the future I'll pick it up. I like what I see. We're going to be talking about an ILP tomorrow. But I got fun because when I was talking about it, and I could have probably talked my way into getting it, but it's just like I'm streaming Final Fantasy VII Rebirth right now, and I'm probably going to start that again Monday or tomorrow, depending on what happens. I'm playing Unicorn Overlord right now. I do want to get back on Destiny. Like, I didn't see the logistics enough of me being able to play it. So I'm like, am I really going to waste money that I don't really should be spending right now on something I probably won't be playing?
Yeah, just definitely got to save that money up. There's a lot of games that are coming out this year, though. So yeah, definitely got to pick and choose what you want to buy wisely. So, moving on away from the N64, though, I always like to get my guests a favorite console. So, what would be your favorite console, if you could choose one?
Oh, the 360.
Okay.
Because that was the first time I really like. I don't online game like I used to, but I remember playing, Halo Wars to like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, multiple nights. I remember playing Halo 3, to ridiculous nights. Like, I don't think. Now, obviously, that might be because just you had to be there to experience it. But even though I have that knowledge that it's probably just because I was there when all that was going on, because people now that grow up and like come across, any form of online connectivity is like, this is basic, what the 360 had. But at the time, there's nothing else that was doing it. So it was unreal to experience that with everyone else.
Yeah. That the 360 was definitely big for its online aspect, and it definitely pushed Sony to improve its online aspect for the PS3. I actually come off the PS3 and 360 generations because that's like the era I remember the most and where I game the most. Because I sort of grew up with a PS2, but because I was kind of. Well, I was born in 1998, so it was already kind of like, so by the time the PS2 was already around, the PS3 was already like around the corner to coming out, right? So, yeah, I definitely enjoyed those online aspects, and I think the 360 was just like a big push for it, especially with the Halo games too.
Which is interesting, like people, most of the time it's like Gears or Halo that got people into the Xbox, right? Mine was Fable.
Well,
like I got the original Xbox for Fable, and I got when Fable 2 came out, that's when I got a 360. Like, so it's interesting that when the Halos dropped, that didn't captivate me to move. But when I saw Fable 2 on my friend Nathan's screen, I'm like, oh man, that's finally out. And I saw him, like, I remember seeing him like running on Burrowstone Bridge. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's time to go to GameStop.
Time to buy that 360, huh?
Yeah, and I got that. I remember once again convincing my mom, because we were. I remember she just got her taxes one year, and we were driving, and I convinced her to stop by like this game store, and I already knew what I was aiming for, and I got her to get me an Xbox. It was the Halo edition, the green one. And I remember getting Fable and taking Fable home because my cousin Jacob was playing Fable. That's how I came across Fable. And I remember it not working. Ooh. And I was so like crushed because like when you start up Fable, it had the assassin like cut the Xbox screen and the lava came up and hit him down, knocked him down.
Yeah,
like it would freeze during that animation.
Ooh.
And I remember being like so devastated, and I ended up having to like taking it back.
I bet you tried cleaning that disc multiple times just to make sure it still worked.
Yeah, I actually had a like a disc cleaner thing at the time too, and it still didn't work. But it wasn't just that. I'm a huge fan of Elder Scrolls. That's probably one of, that's probably the fifth one I would have said, Elder Scrolls. I remember switching back and forth from Elder Scrolls Oblivion or Morrowind. It might have been Morrowind. Like, I would play 2 or 3 hours of Morrowind, and then I would switch with my cousin Storm. He would play Morrowind because I had an Xbox and he had a PC, and then the other one would play RuneScape on PC, and we would just keep switching.
So it sounds like RPGs are really what got you into the 360 more than like the shooter craze that took over that
Definitely.
era.
I am definitely not a bro gamer.
Definitely. I respect that.
But I do enjoy shooters. I really love Titanfall. I thought Titanfall 2 like kind of went away from what made Titanfall so special. Like, I do enjoy Titanfall, like shooters in general. It's just I will say throughout the years, like that competitive edge that was in me has just been leaking out, and it's just not coming back. Like I got zero. Like when I play, I went to PC in like 2019, 2020, something like that. I can't remember what year it was, and I remember the beating I took with the cheaters on PC when it come to Destiny. I never recovered from my competitiveness after that because it just died.
Ooh, that is rough. Yeah. I think a lot of people that grew up in that era kind of feel the same, because I've noticed a lot of people who used to play like those competitive games just don't feel the same nowadays. At least from what I've seen off of social media. But I used to be competitive in Call of Duty, but going from the PS3 and 360 generation to the PS4 and Xbox One, I kind of just lost that competitive edge. So,
yeah, I definitely understand that.
So besides RPGs, you said you also played Halo Wars, right?
Yeah, love Halo Wars.
So
Unfortunately, I was told by someone that's in the know that Halo Wars 3 was greenlit and then canceled.
Oh no. Well, damn.
But things like that could always change at a
later time.
At a heartbreak. Like you don't know when they're like, okay, let's rehash some of our older IPs. So something that's cheap that isn't going to take an absurd amount of money to make. Because Halo Wars, sure it didn't make a whole lot of money, if any, but we know they probably didn't spend a whole lot of money on that game either. So
yeah. So I think so. You're big into strategy games then?
Yeah. That's probably what I play the most right now. Like one of my favorite Final Fantasies and it came from Final Fantasy Tactics. And I really enjoyed that game, and that led to XCOM. XCOM led to Mech Warriors. Mech Warriors led to more strategic games that played like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Okay, I have huge respect for you. I'm actually huge into XCOM 2. That game I fell in love with as soon as because I got through PlayStation Plus, because it gave it out like 4 years ago now, and ever since then I love that game, and it got me into strategy games.
There's a game called Massive Challenge you should try. It's on Xbox.
Ooh, okay. I'll take your word for it. All right, I gotta remember that after this show. But
it's actually owned by Double Fine. Microsoft owns it.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that Xbox wasn't too big into Final Fantasy during that generation.
The first Final Fantasy they got was 13.
Yeah. So how was that for you?
It was interesting. Unfortunately, 13 and 13-2 and Lightning Returns, that's that god awful trilogy. I've never beat any of them. I think I played 10 minutes of X2 of 13-2, and I got pretty far in 13, like to the last region, and I just dropped it and never picked it back up.
Is there a reason for that?
I just don't like them. I don't like the characters. There's certain mechanics that make Final Fantasy, like, team gathering, being able to have a synergy on how you play. It's got that crystallization bullshit, and I didn't like that either. Like, it's just, there was so much about 13 that I didn't like. I didn't like Lightning as a main character either. I felt like, they just tried to, like, mimic Cloud to a degree.
Yeah, just especially with that edge aspect that they kind of added to Cloud later on.
Yeah, and Cloud does it better. So it's just like, stand on your own merits. Don't copy off other people. Yeah.
So I guess going off of that, my next question for you would be like for the Xbox One generation, because I know since like you're a big Xbox gamer, right?
Yeah.
How hard has it been being a Final Fantasy fan and being an Xbox fan? Because I know Square Enix has recently, like, with their exclusivity deals, Final Fantasy hasn't been as prevalent on Xbox. Well, with the newer games.
You can't be a Final Fantasy fan on Xbox. You got to have a PlayStation or the PC at the least if you want to wait. But I don't wait for any game I'm anticipated in. I'll go whatever console and buy whatever console is needed. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, a true Final Fantasy fan, you won't wait for that stuff. I see people say, well, I'll wait till all of them come out to Xbox. You do that. Because I'm playing them when they come out.
So you're one that can't really wait for those games then.
No, I am definitely not waiting.
Yeah,
I have zero self-control.
yeah, I feel that too. I was kind of the same way with Mass Effect. Like whatever it came out on first, I would just buy right away, or if it came out or whatever it was on, I would just buy it for that I had. So anything else like that you would like go back, like that you appreciate about the 360 generation though? That you kind of just miss.
I miss how aggressive the 360 was, and how many, there's a reason like Mass Effect has, a lot of origins of Xbox, and even BioWare in general, and it feels like that's no longer Microsoft's MO. And people say, well, it's a timed exclusive, doesn't matter. No, the right timed exclusive definitely matters. The problem is they have a bad habit of getting the wrong timed exclusives.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I gotta agree there. But I guess that actually makes a good transition into my next subject, because I actually noticed that like you've kind of been very vocal about like Xbox's direction this generation. I take it you're not really a fan of like how they've been running things, right?
Yeah, that's an understatement, but continue.
So, how do you feel about like Xbox currently, like overall?
I feel like they're putting it all on black and it's going to land on red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're coming back after that, I guess.
Yeah, I just here's the thing, like, for a company that constantly makes statements like we do the 10-year plan, we're long-term investors, what they're doing seems very short-term investing to me. Oh, we want money now. Then why did you spend that many $1 billion and expect that money in the next couple years? That's not generally how these type of business is handled. Like, most of the time when people invest that type of revenue into something, they're not expecting it in 3 years. Like, so it's just like, it might work out for them, because what I have said is there's never been a company in gaming history that has a console manufacturer because I would say Embracer Group probably has more than Microsoft does, but a console manufacturer's never owned this much of the industry at one time. So, maybe they can function with the timed exclusive thing. It just depends. It depends if they're very vocal with that. It depends if these games have a decent spacing. There's just a lot of aspects to it. And I won't come out there and I won't tell you that it's going to 100% not work, but I also won't tell you it's going to 100% work.
Yeah, you can't
we're in uncharted areas. We're literally selling a ship around a dark ass ocean. Don't know where left or right is.
Ooh, interesting. I kind of like that how you phrased it that way, because it's kind of like you're kind of like just sailing a ship into like uncharted territories. Like, you just like, they don't know what to expect. I could definitely understand that. But I guess that actually kind of leads me to my next question, which I always ask guests, because like I always see like this kind of like stigma in gaming, like that people are kind of like critical of, where like they think the game is kind of heading down the wrong path. How do you feel about like just like it overall, like especially like for console gaming too?
I feel like in terms of console gaming, they're doing very well. They have a very good stacked year. Last year was pretty good too. In terms of that, they're good. But like, my biggest issue with them is their business model. I feel like these studios are finally starting to have fruits for their labor for the past X amount of years, and we're finally going to start seeing something. I don't like how they're changing their business model so close to actually seeing results. Like, if they saw the results and said, "Yo, this ain't it. We got to change something," then I would be more respectful. It's just like you change your business model before you even get the rights to market Call of Duty.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few people point that out, like that they haven't seen the results yet, like maybe compared to the Bethesda deal, but I guess not only that, but like also there are people who are unhappy with the Sony with how Sony's strategy is working out, with their multiplayer push. But
Yeah, what's funny is they're both having the adjacent issues with each other.
yeah, that's why I asked that question, because both these console manufacturers, they are the richest companies in this industry, but yet they're having so much problems. It's kind of ironic when you think about it. So much money, but they can't figure out how to make money, or at least how to succeed in this industry.
Because you got too many companies that make games to make money, and not enough companies making games that still happen to make money.
Yeah,
and what the passion's not there. Once corporate got a hold of the industry, and now they just see everything as dollar signs. Innovation just died almost immediately. Because why innovate? You don't know if it's going to work out. But back in the day, they would innovate because one thing obviously was cheaper, but another thing, the passion was there. They valued the product, not necessarily the money the product can be made from. But now people don't care if gaming's pretty much essentially been exactly where it's been, besides graphical intense games going up throughout the years. It's been exactly where it's at almost. Besides the Nemesis system, you can't really point out too many like AI restructures or something that plays something different. Like I can name certain like outliners. Like I think Last of Us was a huge example of a game that's done well around AI and stuff. But besides that, AI acts almost identical they did on during the Xbox One and 360 era. How many times you play a game that AI just acted completely stupid and you're just scratching your head?
There's been quite a few times actually.
And that's my point. It's like once these people got a hold of the industry, they don't see it. They don't want to innovate because the better thing to do from a corporate standpoint is to just keep doing what you're doing because you're making money. But now we're getting to a point where the bubble is bursting. They've milked as much as they can from us, and they keep getting that 10-15% hike every quarter for their reports, but now they can't do it no more, and they're looking on how they can continue to get that kind of growth. And the only way to do that is to either A, make more money from the existing people, it's like Phil Spencer said, for the people that's already buying games, or find newer people to sell to. In my personal opinion, and I know obviously this is not how corporate is done, companies should be happy with making $1 billion in profit. They shouldn't want $1 billion in 0.3 next gen, in that next quarter.
Yeah, I think Vincent Vega actually brought up a good company to point to. He said innovation can only be found at Nintendo, which I kind of agree with that.
Because they're actually, well, let's be real, their games probably don't cost a fraction of the other two's games to make, but that's not Nintendo's fault that they have chose to stick to a realistic ladder. When's the last time you saw Nintendo lay off half their staff?
It's been a cool minute. Definitely. But yeah, I think another company that's kind of a good example would be Valve. Or would you agree? Or
in a way, I don't think Valve really has done too much like gaming wise. Like we would have to see them release a few games to like really captivate it there.
Half-Life Alyx was pretty big for VR, so
it was cool. But besides that, what have they really done? I don't know if we could take one game and say that they've been a good example of innovation. They've innovated, sure, but as a good example, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, okay. Maybe not recently, but I definitely think that Nintendo has been pretty good with how they make their games, especially like catering towards fans instead of just trying to milk fans. But I kind of also see the big push for mobile being like that, also another way for them to just milk people to their money. I mean, heck, the mobile games industry is already known for like having tons of microtransactions as is.
No, I do think, I don't think it's I think people are exaggerating when they're saying we're heading towards a crash. I do think there is going to be some form of crash, but I don't want people to think it's going to be like back in the 80s crash. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think we're already seeing mad people get laid off. I'm worried what happens in the future with talent in this industry. Are we going to maintain that talent? Are we going to be able to pull in new talent? Imagine people in school right now and like a bunch of their friends just got laid off and they're seeing on the news 2,000 here, 1,000 here, 1,500 there. Why would they go in the gaming industry? Like,
yeah, that's it. So I actually studied video game development. After seeing this news, I was like, okay, maybe it was a good idea I didn't get into game development. Because like, yeah, seeing all these firings is just like so depressing. Like, why?
And most of it just for corporate greed. Nothing else.
And the funny thing is too, is like a lot of these animators, they're especially in gaming, are paid less than how much the film industry pays them. That's like,
yeah,
it's really just not worth it half the time.
And that's part of the issue we have in this industry. There's no passion because a lot of these developers are getting treated like trash. So
yeah. So I take it your overall. I take it. So I say it's safe to assume that your overall thoughts about this is kind of like dangerous territory that gaming is in right now. Then, right?
It's not that it's in dangerous territory. I just think that it might even be too late to self-correct already. But I do think some kind of correction needs to happen before it gets to the point where we definitely can't self-correct. Because I don't think we're at the point where a crash is guaranteed, but I think we're getting to that point.
Yeah, that's how I've been feeling too. To be honest, like it's not gonna be as big as like what Atari went through, but it is gonna be a hit to gaming. I don't know. Would you say a safer bet would be to go back to like how they made games for the PS3 and 360 generation, where like there was a bunch of like smaller games being released?
I think the only way that stuff makes sense is you got to, and I know it's going to sound stupid, in some ways you got to take the money out of the product. It's like, look, if you make good games, you're going to make money, but the problem is throughout the years, with that corporate climbing, I call it corporate climbing, they have to make more money every quarter. We're getting to the point where it's not salvageable because they want more. They don't want what they made last year, which is billions in profit, by the way. They want more than that. And how long can you realistically do that before the bubble bursts? And I think we've been past that. Because
it's funny that you mentioned that. We've been talking about Square Enix because they're the biggest culprit of being disappointed and wanting more. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and to a degree, gamers are blamed for it too. I said on ILP, you look at people like Jeff Keighley, and Jeff Keighley, he doesn't really use his platform a whole lot to speak out against the firings. Now, obviously, he did it here recently, but okay, you didn't do it for like 2 years, and now you do it one time. I don't really consider that. I consider that I'm about to sell these tickets to get to Summerfest. Here's your tweet. Leave me alone. Not buy my tickets. So it's just like, look, like people such as myself, ILP, we react to the video game awards. How can we necessarily call him out on it when we bring awareness to all his events?
Yeah. All right. I guess I should move on to the next topics. So, I guess moving on from this, I'd like to go into a bit of your YouTube history. So, I know you from talking to Cognito on this show that you're actually kind of the brains behind streaming to YouTube and everything for the Iron List podcast. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm a huge person when it comes to I like analytics. I like studying what people are doing next. I've always been big on stuff like that. So yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate. What Cog and King and Saw was brought to the table, I couldn't have done by myself. But originally, people don't know this, IOP was on my channel the first few episodes.
Really? I actually didn't know that either.
And then we moved it over to its own channel after a while. But originally it was on my channel.
Yeah.
And originally I was the host.
Oh, okay.
But what happened was something happened where I couldn't host that week, and we let Cog host, and Cog just had a lot of better energy doing it, so we just made him the host.
But you still run the technical side of it, like handling the streaming and all that, right?
No, he does that. What it is I have pretty much I mimic everything he does.
Okay.
Like I have the same computer, the same setup. So if he can't do it, I can do it. But I set everything up. I set up the OBS Streamlabs. I showed him how to do it. I set up and educate, and they take what I tell them, and then they use that to actually do the show. And then if something ever happens where they can't stream, I'm the backup. Now, when it comes to the live streams, I do handle all that. Like all the reactions, like that's all me.
Okay. So I gotta ask, like how, like starting it off on your channel, like so you were already pretty knowledgeable about like YouTube then, right? Like about how to do streams, how to do all this stuff then, right?
Yeah, I knew how to pretty much set stuff up and press record, but I didn't know anything about YouTube really. Throughout the years, I've made sure I've educated myself. I've had people help me, so I know a lot more about YouTube than I did then. As far as like running a brand or a YouTube podcast, I definitely was very ignorant to the situations then.
So, what channel was the Iron Lords podcast on? Because I noticed you have two channels, which I learned recently.
Yeah, I got Gaming Addict and Addict Arena.
So, what channel was Iron Lords on then originally?
Gaming Addict.
Okay. So, were you doing like your own thing first before you started the podcast?
Yes.
Interesting.
I already had a couple thousand subs by the time ILP started.
Because I think I might be mistaken, but I think Cox said that you were like you were the one that kind of pushed them to start the channel, the Iron Lords channel, right?
Yeah. Originally it was a Destiny podcast, and
okay.
yeah, we made something called the Iron Lords Intermission, and that was like just like talking to other people that didn't play Destiny about why they don't play Destiny. And then we made something called Iron Lords Gaming, which was an all-round Destiny thing. And then after that, we just deaded the Iron Lords Gaming, and we just rebranded all under ILP.
So, going back to your channel. So, when did you start your original channel then?
2014.
So you're kind of a fresh YouTuber then. Well,
yeah,
fairly fresh. So
yeah, 2014.
How was that experience for you then? Just like
I didn't really take YouTube seriously for the majority of ILP. Last year, that's when I really started putting more effort into it, and I went from like 3,200 to almost 7,000 subs in a year. So it takes a lot, man. One thing that YouTube rewards is they reward consistency.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I was told if I don't want to do the huge editing thing, which doesn't even really work these days because so many people are doing it, then I just need to be very quick on getting out content. So I try to get out anywhere from 4 to 5 videos a week.
Yeah, definitely. And as a big editor myself, I can definitely understand the editing part. So yeah, especially because a lot of big YouTubers nowadays have like teams of editors working for them, just like consistently putting out videos every week or so. But yeah, one thing YouTube's algorithm loves is consistency. I learned that the easy way from uploading every day practically. But you run 2 channels, so how is that? Because 2 channels ain't easy.
So Addict Arena is new. It just started this year. I had to take 2 weeks off because I was preparing for the PAX trip. But I will be starting that probably Monday, most likely. So pretty much it's a streaming channel, and I already know how I want to handle it. So I'm in the beginning process of like really establishing a brand. I actually had like a whole like a Microsoft Word on like a timeline of like what I want to do with that channel, because I think I already got up to almost 600 subscribers in a month.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
So the problem is I've never built a streaming channel, so I'm learning as I go.
Yeah,
and I got to do better when it comes to like taking advantage of things I have, like shorts. I made a short for Helldivers, and it did really good too. It did 12,000 views for a 600 subscriber channel.
Yeah. Well, did you do it during the time when Helldivers released? Because
it was like 3 or 4 days after.
Yeah, that's why Helldivers is pretty big in the algorithm. So I actually kind of leads me to a new question. So what? So instead of like doing streaming on YouTube, why don't you do it off of Twitch or anything like that?
Because I was told by people that work at Twitch not to stream on Twitch.
Really?
Yeah, and I take their opinion seriously.
Okay. Interesting.
The exact thing she told me is, I'd hate for you to grow a brand on Twitch and we shut that bitch down. So yeah, I was all right. Then I'm not gonna say no more. I won't do it.
Fair enough.
Because originally I was gonna multi-stream.
Yeah.
Well, I still might. I still might, but maybe not Twitch. Maybe Kick.
That's a good new platform. Has been popping off recently. But I gotta ask, like, what's the future of your own brand compared to like just being on the Iron Lords? You know, do you have like a future for it, like just kind of making like your channel like your main thing, or whatever plan you have?
My channel is a multi-platform channel. I generally talk more about Xbox than anything else. I have been changing that a little bit because I still got the passion for Xbox, but the hardcore fanboys I don't like.
Yeah.
Because it seems like if I hear one more doom and gloom in my comment section, I'm gonna have a meltdown. Like, because it's just like sometimes sometimes stuff just smells bad. It's like, don't blame me for bringing it to the light. Blame Xbox for dropping the ball and being in the news. But that's what I got to do better. I got to do better on appealing to a less radical fan base. Because my channel went through like a crazy evolution last month. Like, I usually gain like 300 to 500 subs a month. I lost 228.
Ooh, yeah, that is.
And that's a combination of, Xbox fans coming from my head, and a combination of like, I think YouTube was doing like a huge purge last month.
Yeah. Well, if you also don't upload for a specific amount of time, they take away subs.
No, I was uploading daily almost.
Oh, they so sadly.
Yeah, I think even though last month was the less videos I put out in a long time, I still uploaded like 12 videos.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I might have just
so that's like purge. That's like 3 videos a week. So, but I'm not the only one. ILP lost. We didn't gain any subs. We lost 28.
Ooh.
So
okay, yeah,
they were purging probably fake accounts or inactive accounts. I'm sure there's people that's been following ILP and Gaming Addict for like 3 or 4 years that no longer use YouTube. Like, there's a lot of different aspects to what's going on, and I'm sure there's a lot of sock accounts that sub to them that people only use for ill purposes that they got rid of.
Yeah. I remember seeing some of the porn bots on there, but or at least in the chat. I mean, but yeah. So again, I guess one of your main focuses is Iron Lords, right?
Yeah, Iron Lords are my personal brand. Like, I think I'm still gonna make videos on Gaming Addict, but I think this year I'm gonna put a lot of focus on Addict Arena. I'm gonna try to get that up to like 2,000 subs by the end of the year.
Ooh, good look at that. At least you have a goal for it.
Yeah, 2,000 for Addict Arena and 10,000 for Gaming Addict.
So I gotta ask, like, what made you start the podcast, or what made you guys like start the podcast from your aspect of things, I guess?
Just saw a bunch of people doing it, and being in these Xbox Live parties, like we're having more engaging conversations than anything I'm listening to. So after enough time of trying to convince Cog, and he eventually agreed to it, we went through some changes. Obviously, the original Iron Lords podcast had 2 people, didn't have Solving King. They eventually decided they couldn't no longer commit. So when they left, that's when Cog got King and Solve to join the podcast. Because King and Solve both were guests on ILP before they were members.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. So when did they become official members then? Like just later down the road?
Well, below 50, episode 50.
Oh, okay.
Well, what's funny is technically we're like 10, 11 episodes ahead than we are now. But when we rebranded, I deleted them. So, if you went to SoundCloud, you could find the old episodes, but they're not on YouTube. So,
okay, so they're just gone from YouTube then. Okay, I'm gonna check that out then eventually. But yeah, so I gotta ask, like, how's your experience then been from doing like podcasts for so long? Because like you guys have been at this for a long time now.
Yeah, even before ILP, I was around when there was podcasts that no one's even heard of, like Nothing But Shots. I was around when Weapon Wheel started, and they're on episode 400.
Yeah.
So, I've been around for a while. One of the biggest things I would say is like podcasting is easier than making content because at least you can bounce off of people. Like when you make content, you're talking to yourself. And that was such a huge barrier that you have to get over, talking to a camera, expecting it not to talk back.
Yeah, well, especially when you're not used to it at first, too. So.
And then we just did a live show. We did we just did a live show in front of like 600 people. So that was an experience I've never had before.
How was that like?
I was nervous at first, but a lot of people say when you do a live show, don't look at the crowd.
Yeah.
Like I made sure I kept looking at the people because it's like if I don't, I'm gonna just stay nervous. So I literally just kept looking. I didn't look because Cog and them like, just look at us, man. I'm like, no, because then I'm not gonna get used to it. I got to get used to it, or I'm going to be nervous the whole time I was up there. So I was staring them down. Yeah, I was staring them down the whole time. And after about 2 or 3 minutes, my nerves just completely went away.
Oh, that's good for you then. Yeah, that's a big feat though, just to do a live show in front of a crowd. Not
yeah,
easy.
because never done it before. I presented an award last year for the New York Game Awards, and it was the same venue that we did the call-in thing. So
interesting. So yeah, I mean, you guys are definitely at that point where you guys can start like reaching people like in different states. So yeah, and doing those live shows is definitely gonna be a big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I take it like you guys, like especially with the Iron Lords podcast, like you guys are in in a happy place right now, then, right?
We're in a happy place, but we're always looking to move. We'll have. I think last year we grew like 7,000 subs. Like me and Cog, people think we do stuff randomly, but everything we do has a purpose. And people finally start to see like that purpose. And one of the things that a lot of people get very like nervous asking people to be on like their show. They say no one time, they never reach out. I asked Colin Moriarty 3 times, and he never responded. And then I was talking to Cog, and I'm like, you know what? We're gonna reach out to the people I know is in Colin's circle, and I took it the Facebook way. We're gonna get all his friends on the show. Where not only is he gonna respond, he's gonna want to be on because all his friends is be on, and that's how we got Colin on.
Yeah, that was a pretty big episode. I saw that. That was an interesting guest. He's a big personality himself.
Yeah, we had to move ILP to get him on.
Just move it to a different day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You see, that's kind of the thing I kind of learned about doing this show, because like I always try to reach out to new people to get on my show, because like this is the type of show where I like to get new guests on every week. So I don't want it to be the same person, because I want to interview new people, get new stories out there. But it's always different when like you try to reach out to someone and like they don't respond. So I definitely been following that way of getting people around that person, so that way I can get to that person, you know. So I can definitely understand that, especially now. It's not easy getting guests, but you guys have gone pretty. I'm sorry, repeat that.
It's not easy at all.
Yeah. So I noticed too that you guys like have been improving on like, getting industry level people too, like in gaming. So
yeah, we got Peter Moore on.
Yeah.
Twice actually.
Yeah, I saw that. That's pretty big. You also got Jason Rubin.
Yeah, that's because Cog knew him, but I was able, because I remember when we got Peter Moore from a Twitter tweet, because I remember Cog tweeted him and said something, and he responded, and Cog calls me, and I'm like, nah, go to ILP, retweet that. I was like, I'll retweet it, you'll retweet it. And then, you know, he agreed to come on. And then he enjoyed it so much, he agreed to come on again.
Fair enough, huh? Well, that's a big break for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if you'd be able to say, but you guys got any new guests that you guys that you're able to spill the beans on, at least for this channel?
Cog, he gets really upset if I break like guests. I will say that we do have some big guests that we have scheduled, but not as many as we normally do. You know, we kind of gotten to the point where it's like we'll put guests on the show, but if it just makes sense. Like it's gotten to the point where, you know, the show's gotten so long and it consistently bees long, and I was like, look, like I enjoy when it's just us anyway. You know, the views are higher, the likes are higher, the super chats are higher. Clearly our audience likes it, so it's like, you know, unless it makes sense, like we're cameoing someone tomorrow for Dragon's Dogma, I prefer just to keep it just to us.
So you guys are kind of just slowing down on just in general for getting guests on your show then?
It will still have guests as long as it makes sense.
Yeah. So I guess I gotta ask then, like what are your guys' plans for ILP moving forward then, going into like since we're kind of still in the starting stages of 2024?
I don't know. I do know I want ILP to hit 30,000 subs by the end of the year.
That's a pretty big goal.
Yeah, we're what, 8,000 away from it.
Yeah.
Well, probably. So I mean, is it gonna happen? I don't know. But it's not gonna be with the lack of trying.
Yeah, that's all you can do when it comes to YouTube. Yeah. I guess my last question for this subject would just be do you have any favorite moments of like guests that you got on, or like episode moments of like just doing the show with like you and the rest of the Lords, or just like doing YouTube in general? Do you have like any favorite moments that come to mind?
I'm a big stickler for events. I love reacting to like the Xbox show every year. So that's probably the things I enjoy the most, is seeing like newer games. I I don't know if you guys have noticed, like, because how ILP works is we all bring a topic to the chat every week. So like every topic is something we brought to the podcast, and I'm not talking about hardware much anymore, or like the industry itself. Like I've been very vocal about my topics are always going to be games if I can help it from now on. It's like why, like last week, the last time we was at IOP, it was Unicorn Overload. This week it's going to be Dragon's Dogma, because I feel like we as a community has gotten pretty bad at talking about like the practices of the industry, but we don't talk about the games.
Yeah, I definitely understand that, because a lot of podcasts I've been on in the past, like they've just talked about like the industry news instead of the games themselves. Yeah, definitely good thing to put the spotlight on the games though.
Yeah, so that's my goal currently. So we'll see what happens. Because obviously it's not games coming out weekly, so there are going to be some times where I got to pick something going on in the industry, but I'm gonna do my best to not talk about, like, especially hardware. I can't stand hardware. So
all right. Well, I guess my last question for the show would be for you would be asking like for your favorite gaming moment, like just like playing a game, or any moments like with friends, like when playing a game, anything like that. Do you have a favorite moment?
Destiny.
Really?
I might talk mad smack about that game, and I talk a lot of smack about that game, but some of my all-time favorite moments in gaming has been on that game.
And any one that you can talk about?
Just about any raid. Me and Cogs went at it over the raids. Me and all other clanmates have went at it over the raids. Pretty much everyone's went at it with me over the raids, because sometimes I'm unreasonable. But it's the raids. Like I love the raids in Destiny. That's 6. Everyone's got to come together. People's got their own things they have to do. And what's funny is they've started being really good on ratting who's not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, now no longer people could just naturally blame me. I can say, yeah, but it says you didn't beat your people. So what's up with that? Because there'll be times in Destiny raids where it'll be 6 people and every person's got to do something different. And if everyone doesn't do what they're supposed to, everyone dies.
Hell yeah. Okay, so you're just going to be called out in the game. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it would be worse when there's like bosses we have to kill, and after you die, it tells you the DPS.
Oh no.
So every character gets a breakdown of how much damage they did. And the worst thing you can ever do is after the damage shows up, they're like, Addict, what you got on? Because if my DPS is too low, they're gonna question the stuff I'm fighting with. They're like, oh, you need to change to something else because you ain't doing the damage you're supposed to be doing.
They actually kind of have a okay. So I'm gonna say this right off the bat. I'm a Warframe player. I played Warframe a lot. I prefer it over Destiny, but they have a similar stat board where they show everyone like how much damage they done, how many enemies they killed. And whenever someone doesn't do the damage, you can tell right off the bat they're pretty weak.
Yeah, it's good. It's like I said, Destiny is definitely it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I guess with that, I'll let you do your outro. But yeah, thank you for being on the show again. And I hope that this show hasn't been too long for you. I tried to keep this.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. Well. Let everyone know where they can find you though.
I appreciate the invite. You can find me on Twitter, Gaming Addict. Make a YouTube channel called Gaming Addict. A stream on a channel called Addict Arena. Also, IOP tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. Anyone that asked me to come on their show, it's not that I'm not like I'm trying to avoid people. It's just like on top of like helping Cog, King, and Saab run IOP. I'm running 2 channels. I consult on channels too. Like I help King run his channel. I help Kid Smooth run his channel. I run my own channels. It's just I'm trying to maintain all of that and be in a relationship. So it's like it's a lot of like back and forth, and I'm not avoiding people. It's just I have a bad habit of opening messages and then forgetting to reply and then just never replying.
Yeah, I used to be a bad habit of that, but I kind of had to break that though. But yeah, reaching out to you was actually pretty simple though. You're pretty reasonable. So definitely could say to anybody who does want to reach out to you that like you're definitely easy to work with though when like you're available, of course.
Yeah, you reached out to me in February, the end of February, so it took a month. It just got to give me time, guys. Got to give me time.
Well, that actually worked out for me because I actually just finished school like last week, so this was the week where it worked out the best.
Yeah, well, I made a deal with my girl that I wouldn't podcast on Saturdays. So if I podcast on Saturdays, I get like her okay for it. So.
Oh well, I'll just make sure to thank Miss Lord Addict for this. Yeah, I also made sure to put all your links into the description after this episode uploads. So yeah, just so everybody knows, so they'll subscribe to them there, and don't forget to like this episode and share it around. Yeah, thank you again for being on, and hope you guys have a good day. And yeah. And peace.
See ya.